Hello, Merchants of Vengeance and Department of Defense. My name is Goniloc, and I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to Corrupted Cover Art, the program where we analyze the artwork in a band's discography and horribly misinterpret the message that it's supposed to convey. For this installment, we'll be looking at Australia's black thrash bad boys, known exclusively as Gospel of the Horns. This band has always stood out to me as some of the best extreme thrash that Australia has to offer, which, when you consider the competition, is pretty high praise. This video is my opportunity to spread the Gospel of the Horns and honor their legacy in a fun and funky fresh kind of way. We'll begin with Monuments of Impurity, the band's 1998 EP, and I already know what you're going to say, dear friend. Goniloc, why are you wasting time on an EP that doesn't even have real cover art? Keep this up and I'm going to put my fingers in your goddamn mouth! Well, hold on. I'm not sure where that last part came from, but I'm choosing to start here simply because I need a vehicle to gush about how much I love this band's logo. It's a marriage between two distinct staples within the metal subculture. There's the classic Old English font that seems to be the go-to for black metal artists, and there's the spiky, intimidating edges that feed into the band's satanic side. It's eye-catching, unique, reflective of the music, and all the while still easily legible. But the first real piece of artwork that we'll arrive at together is Eve of the Conqueror. This release is also an EP, but it's got more meat on its bones, and that is the best place for meat to be. Even more relevant, though, is the fact that it has this beautiful painting attached to it. Here we see a gaggle of ghoulish gentlemen, all of whom have faces as black and as empty as the night itself, and sitting behind them is the titular conqueror. In his current form, he seems to be nothing more than a severed goat head sitting on top of a fleece blanket. But a conqueror must conquer, am I right, ladies? He'll need a bit more of a body to do that, but fortunately for him, he's got some of the best buddies in the business who seem to be actively working to conjure up some body parts through this pleasingly plump cauldron. They're following the cookbook recipes step by step, but making a goat-man hybrid is a pretty time-consuming process, so why don't we leave these sweet peas alone and get back to them in a minute or two, huh? While we're waiting, we can move on to the next release. The first full-length from Gospel of the Horns is generally considered to be their best work, and I personally do not disagree. Ladies, gentlemen, everything in between, a warm welcome for A Call to Arms. This cover art is a very clean and simple depiction of some armor-clad warriors charging forward on horseback. Charging forward into what, though? War? Battle? Conflict? Fighting? It could be any one of these. We'll need to think outside of the box to come up with a concrete answer. Or will we? If you look inside the box, and towards the bottom edge of it, we find ourselves referred back to the album title, A Call to Arms, which is more than likely referring to a phone call directed at a pair of giant anthropomorphic goat arms. Well, I don't know if arms alone are going to be able to pick up the phone. They might need some hands and fingers to help with that, but it's still worth reaching out to them. However, it's not easy to get a cell phone connection when you're out in the wild, and especially not when your position is rapidly changing, like it would be on horseback. And so, this group of knights needs to work together. Every single one of them is holding a different cell phone antenna towards the sky, hoping that maybe just one of them will be able to connect to the arms that they're trying to communicate with. But alas, it seems that their efforts bore no fruit, at least for the time being. Nobody was able to connect to the arms to inform them of the upcoming Realm of the Damned photo shoot, and that's why they aren't present on the cover art of the next album. I don't know what went wrong. The chest and shoulders got there fine, and I didn't hear any complaints from the goat head that we met earlier on Eve of the Conqueror. But there's nothing we can do about it now, so let's just take Realm of the Damned at face value. Here we see a bunch of marionettes hanging limp across the stage, with the aforementioned goat man looking down at them with a bit of a blank expression. If we zoom in, Jesus Christ, and then zoom out a little bit, yep, perfect, he looks almost a little angry. A little frustrated. And why shouldn't he be? Given his relative size and position behind the puppets, it's clear that he's the puppeteer for this show. But you know what you need to control puppets more often than not? That's right. Honor, valor, and pride. But you also need arms for the physical component of the show, otherwise the puppets are just going to be hanging there the entire time, almost looking like they were ritualistically executed. That's far too morbid for Gospel of the Horns, and obviously not what the band was going for. Unless, of course, we apply a more macabre interpretation of the album title to this quirky little scene here. The title, Realm of the Damned, could suggest that this strapping young goat-headed lad here was previously a successful puppeteer while he was alive, but he has since been sentenced, or damned, to spend eternity in hell. Probably for that time that he stapled his cousins together. But what better way to torture a puppeteer than by dangling their favorite tools directly in front of them, but removing the puppeteer's arms and thus their ability to actually make use of those tools? A punishment not unlike that of our dear old friend Tantalus, mind you. Finally, we come to Ceremonial Conjuration, the 2012 EP that contains some of their fiercest and freshest material. It also contains a cover of a Goat Lord song that is, dare I say it, better than the original? This is also the last time that Gospel of the Horns ever released anything. They appear to still be a band, but I have no idea if there'll be any new releases or major touring in the future. But enough lamenting. Back to the corruption. Here we see the exact same Goatman hybrid, and what do you know, he got himself some arms after all. He's still having some difficulty with the legs, but hey, progress is progress. He's also got the headless body of Jesus Christ nailed to an inverted crucifix. I don't know what that's all about, but I trust he'll use it responsibly. I'm far more concerned with the tail here, and specifically what's going on with the infinity symbol that it seems to be making. I've only ever seen this type of sorcery used by one Sonic the Hedgehog when he travels at frighteningly dangerous speeds. But that couldn't be what we're looking at here. I mean, the Goatman doesn't even have any legs. You can't run without legs. The good Lord in heaven would never allow something like that to happen. Unless... Oh, it's all coming together now, isn't it? Frustrated with his incomplete body, this mysterious puppeteer that we've gotten to know so very, very well has escaped from hell and decided to get his revenge on Christ. Once Jesus Christ's head was chewed off and the kingdom of heaven laid empty, there was nothing stopping the Goatman from getting a little wacky with the laws of physics and biology. So, in the end, he didn't really need legs at all. He just needed an iron will. For an iron will is the will to succeed. He also likely doomed the planet to an eternity without even a remote possibility of salvation, but hey, that's a small price to pay for sonic speed. Like I said, that's the last time Gospel of the Horns released new music. I sincerely hope that changes in the future, but as it stands right now, we've corrupted all that there is to corrupt. I hope you've enjoyed the time that we spent together today, and if you weren't already familiar with Gospel of the Horns, then I do hope you'll give them a spin sometime soon. But as for your old pal Goniloc, well, it's time for me to sip the wine of mistaken immortality and consume the thought, is this my last stand? I don't think so, but if not, then I'll see you all later, I guess. Ta-ta.